It's time for the insane, the honest, and the profane with your hosts, Brandon Combs.
Jed Hoyer has been a coward as a GM. Doesn't go out and he doesn't make the big splash signings. He doesn't spend the money in the right places. But then I don't let Craig Counsell off the hook because, yes, did he get put in a bad spot with this rotation by Jed Hoyer? Absolutely. But then you didn't put those guys that you did have in a position to succeed in the playoffs.
And Ryan Fitzgibbons.
I mean, if he's just as good as Justin Fields, it's probably the worst draft pick in the history of Bears football. It probably is. And one of the worst draft picks in the history of the NFL.
It's Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk, right here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
And welcome to Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk. We are live in the same damn room. Fitz decided to join me. All of a sudden, I hear a knock at my door. I'm in my underwear, and he just comes through the damn door. Like, I was like, what the hell are you doing?
You weren't wearing underwear.
That's fair.
And I'm glad you washed the clown makeup off.
That's
But you
right.
were sad last Friday. Or not last Friday.
Sunday. I was mad.
No, it was Friday. Oh, no, it was Sunday.
It was Sunday.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Eagles game.
Yeah.
We were happy then.
Yeah,
but you were very sad. Are you going to be a big baby today?
I wasn't sad.
Are you going to be a big baby today?
Are you done? Are you done?
I had to get it out.
The guy gets the first round draft pick where his team's going to draft another freaking catcher. And now all of a sudden he wants to come in and talk crap. Look,
they're not going to draft the catcher.
They're going to draft the best hitting catcher at number one.
Stop saying it. You're a one-trick pony.
You're a one-trick pony. I was mad, man, and I'm always going to be mad when you lose to the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be mad. It's not that, and I still think that they were the better team on the field. I really do. I think they beat themselves last week. I think you look at a lot of the things that happened in the first half. We talked about it last week. The play calling was terrible. The execution was definitely terrible in the first half, and then they picked it up in the second half. If you don't allow that long bomb to somebody's uncle who caught the ball in the end zone that was uncovered, they win that game. But no, man, you get Cleveland this week. It's time to.
They played like a young team.
Everybody jumped off the Bears bandwagon after that loss last week. I heard so many takes about how the Bears are going to miss the playoffs now, which I think is a little far-fetched, but I guess we'll see. Lose this game to the Browns and that might become realistic. But
I could be happy.
No, man. We had a big week though. A lot of stuff going on. I mean, we talked about the Bears getting the number one, or the White Sox getting the number one pick. We had the winter meetings this week. And the winter meetings were good for some teams. They were good for your White Sox. The Cubs got Hobie Milner. The Cubs got Hobie Milner.
By luck, it was
and I'm not a huge look. It's an okay signing, but it's just a typical Jed Hoyer signing. It's just Jed Hoyer drives me nuts. But it is what it is. I mean, hopefully there's a big move on the horizon, but we're gonna have a guest right now talk about that. We're gonna talk about the winter meetings. We're gonna talk about Jed Hoyer. We're gonna talk about all things Cubs with a guy that I met over at WRMN. He is a fantastic talent in the industry. He is growing. He is going to be somewhere someday. Hopefully, inviting me to his personal suite at Wrigley Field quite a bit. He is the co-host of Wrigleyville Forever. He is a contributor to Cubs Insider. He is my guy. He is the incomparable Blake Cowell. Blake, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Good morning. How you guys doing? Thanks for the invite. That was quite the intro for me, so I appreciate that. And you'll be invited to the suite.
Oh, see, that's all I want. That's all I'm after.
He's never introed me that way.
Well, because I like Blake. That's the big difference.
Deflation.
So Blake, you were all over the winter meetings, man. I saw your Twitter. You decided to go and you were just going to hang out. You didn't get the press pass this year. You'll probably have it next year, but you were still doing your thing, man. You were getting a lot of nice interviews, talking with a lot of different people. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about the winter meetings, man. What was the experience like?
Yeah, this was my second winter meetings. I went to Dallas 2 years ago, Orlando this year. and I kind of got I don't want to say the best of both worlds, but I got two separate experiences because year one was head on, like pants on fire, people running around. Juan Soto gets signed to the Mets. You look at Garrett Crochet gets traded, Max Fried, Corbin Burns. Like it was quite the event. And then you go down to Orlando this year, and it's all right. What's gonna happen? Like, is anything gonna happen? And coincidentally enough, the brief time I wasn't at the hotel and I was working on some, editing and stuff in my hotel, Kyle Schwarber goes, Edwin Diaz goes, really in a span of 5 minutes. And then nothing happened till right before I left when Pete Alonso gets signed. So it was a very slow winter meetings, but I think that isn't a huge surprise to a lot of people, given what talent's actually on the market right now.
Yeah, so you mentioned Kyle Schwarber, you mentioned Edwin Diaz, you mentioned Pete Alonso. There's probably a couple other names that we're forgetting that we could probably mention. The thing that really struck my ire was that none of those names were attached to the Chicago Cubs. And one of the things that I've been on for a long time, I have talked about this before, is that Jed Hoyer kind of rests on the want or the desire, I feel like anyway, to be the smartest guy in the room sometimes, right? Like you make the trade last year to get Kyle Tucker, you don't re-sign him, you don't extend him, you don't do anything with him. You tell everybody that you feel like you can replace his production internally, which I mean, I don't know how you're going to do that internally. And you see the things that he's doing, and it's really, or not doing, I should say. Hobie Milner, look, good against lefties last year. Was he throwing the high 80s, something like that? He's got a funky delivery. It's going to be interesting to see, but I mean, like, what is there a big trade in the works? Do you feel like what the hell is going on over on the north side?
Well, at least from my perspective, the Cubs' number one need starting pitching. And I think a lot of Cubs fans would say the same thing. And really what held up that market at the winter meetings was Japanese star Tatsuya Imai from Japan, because he's a lot of teams' plan A. I think he's the Cubs' plan 1A. I think he's the Yankees' plan 1A. But he wasn't meeting till I believe this upcoming week, where he'll be going to different cities, making visits, whining and dining, showing some pitching infrastructure, which I think the Cubs are very strong in. So if your plan 1A is waiting till the next week, well, there's no sense in Jed Hoyer to kind of jump the gun and go for plan B right away for the sake of making a move. Now, I will say, I believe it was on Tuesday night, the general buzz around the hotel was the trade market, and specifically the starting pitching trade market, because we remember at the deadline when the Cubs didn't make a significant pitching move, there were guys like Edward Cabrera, Sandy Alcantara from Miami, a guy, Mackenzie Gore from Washington. Those names started kind of popping up again on Tuesday, and not necessarily with the Cubs, but the Orioles, most notably, to make a trade. But that's not to say the Cubs weren't involved there, because you and I both know they kick the tires on a lot of players. They're interest kings, if you will, because they're interested in everybody, but usually don't sign everybody. I wouldn't say there's a trade in the works for the Cubs, but for me to tell you I don't think anything's been discussed would be a lie. I think they've called up at least the Marlins again and re-entered those talks.
Yeah, my only problem is do the Cubs, with what you just said, I like everything you just said. I think the only problem is do the Cubs have the pitching infrastructure? I think a lot of people would ask that question. If you remember when Theo Epstein came in, Blake, it was really, there was an emphasis on players, which I really liked, and it was really ahead of the league at the time. We had that swing plane, that whole era came into, and the Cubs had a lot to do with that. But they've always seemed to be behind the 8 ball on. It just seems like they have been. They did trade away Dylan Cease, which at the time he was coming off an injury. They really, I thought Quintana would do really well in the NL then. That's when the DH still wasn't in the NL. A lot of things with that trade might have gone side, whatever. But it just seems like they haven't had a lot of homegrown pitching talent. I mean, Cade Horton, yeah, he just came up, but I don't see what pitching infrastructure has done for the Cubs in the last 10, 15 years. I don't know if that's going to help them, especially when they're trying to get free agents to come to Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing I'll push back on you with, because you make a really good point about starting pitching, homegrown starting pitching. That's what makes Cade Horton really exciting because he's
Yeah.
really the first homegrown starting pitching prospect since I'll give Justin Steele some credit, but Mark Pryor is the big name that comes to mind for Cubs fans, just electric guy coming up from the farm. Jackson Wiggins is the guy in AAA right now that hopefully can be that second guy that kind of starts to show what this pitching development has been doing. But you got to look at the bullpen too. I mean, bullpen is pitching development and maybe not guys from the farm, but their organizational philosophy of, hey, we're not going to spend big money on Edwin Diaz or Robert Suarez. We're going to bring in a non-roster invitee, Brad Keller, and make him one of the best relievers in the Central. We're going to bring in Drew Pomeranz from AAA Seattle and make him an effective left-handed guy of the pen. Guys like Caleb Thielbar, you could really go on and on about last season. Even Chris Flexen, former White Sox, eventually got DFA'd, but started his Cubs career with 30 scoreless innings and kind of showed something in 8 innings. When you look at a baseball season, there's about 1,500 innings. That's, I'm not a huge math guy, but 4,500 outs that you have to find throughout a baseball season. So how are you going to get there? You need guys like Chris Flex. You need guys like Brad Keller, Thielbar, guys like Colin Ray, who you signed for $5 million, and he supports a 3.8 ERA, which, isn't a great standard for starting pitching. But if you look at, Merrill Kelly just got $20 million a season. He's 38 years old. And so if you look at what the Cubs have done with at least bringing in guys and finding something with them, I think it's a lot of credit to what Jed Hoyer and the pitching infrastructure has done. And I think that's kind of the line of thinking they're going to do this offseason with the bullpen. Obviously already signing Colin Snyder, former Tread Athletics guy, Tyler Zombro has founded and refined that organization. And I think that's why Hobie Milner fits that bill as well. He has like a 91% ground ball percentage. I mean, the Cubs just won the team Gold Glove Award. I mean, that's the kind of pitching that they want because they have a great defense behind them. So I would love to see them add more velocity to the bullpen. I'd love to see add more velocity to the starting rotation.
Yeah.
But they've shown for years now that's really not what they value. They value soft contact, ground balls, and even Craig Counsell in Milwaukee. The big thing that Brewers fans hated him for, pulling guys in the 5th inning, because then you can flip it to your elite bullpen. So you're seeing a lot of that now with the Cubs, and unfortunately, whether you like it or not, that's the direction that they like to go with things.
Yeah, because I would just be a little hesitant, just even if you're not a fan, if you're looking at on the sidelines to the Cubs, because I don't know if you can replicate that every season, and they've shown that you can't, because there was 2 seasons in a row they win 83 games. Most of that reason why was because of the bullpen. Do you think they're able to start replicating that now? Kind of piecemealing a bullpen together, maybe even piecemealing a starting rotation together, because you go into that World Series and you have those 2 teams. I think there was 8 or 9 pitchers on the Blue Jays and the Dodgers who were better than anybody on the Cubs. I mean, and I'm talking just starting pitchers.
Yeah.
I mean, there really was. And you're behind, aren't you? Or
yeah, I would say I'd have more faith in the bullpen than I would the starting pitching, simply from the fact of the reasons I just mentioned. Cade Horton, Justin Steele, and Mark Pryor. Like, that's not a long list. And if you really want to look at Mark Pryor got injured. He didn't even have like the career that he probably should have. But at least on the bullpen side of things, I have a little bit more faith in it, just because you look at when the Cubs are rebuilding in the years really 2021 to 2023. A lot of those acquisitions they made at the deadline were for good relievers that they shipped out and got something back for. So like found something with David Robertson. He's always been around, former White Sox again, but you trade him at the deadline and you bring in Ben Brown, Scott Effross, another guy you trade away, get back Hayden Wesneski again. He didn't really pan out, but you're finding these guys that are, really flies on the wall, taking them into your pitch lab, making them into something that becomes a valuable trade asset. Mark Leiter Jr., another name, was really good with the Cubs, goes to New York, and then he's terrible. And it's like, well, it's the same guy a week apart. What changed? And I think a lot of that has to do credit with what they've done in their infrastructure. So I would say more faith in the bullpen of doing that again. As starting rotation, I would love them to see them spend more money, just because those guys take a long time to develop. And I think some of the guys still on the market now are worth spending money for, because you're absolutely right. If someone looks at this Cubs team and says, what's the biggest need? Well, look to Game 5 of the NLDS. We started a reliever. That should be enough to give you an answer.
It didn't have one starting pitcher that was able to get out of the 5th inning in any playoff game at all this year. So
yeah,
you talked about the trade market and how it was kind of the buzz at the winter meetings, and there's 3 names that came up in trade talks that I've heard. One of them seems really unrealistic, and that's going to Detroit and Tarek Skubal, right? And then there was Edward Cabrera, and then obviously out in Washington, Mackenzie Gore. Now, look, much maligned is that trade for Kyle Tucker now, because I mean, look, you just simply put, you don't trade that much for a guy you're not going to extend. You don't trade that much, and I understand what it did. I understand what Kyle Tucker was to this team this year, and I understand, the impact that he had, but what you're trading away from 1 year of that in a year where you probably weren't winning the World Series unless you did a lot more than what you did at the deadline. Do you see Jed making a move for a Tarek Skubal, considering how much you're going to have to give up, or Mackenzie Gore, or even Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins? Can you see him making a move to go and get that frontline starting pitcher, a guy who can strike out a ton of people, and a guy who can actually be a true number 1 in this rotation?
I would take Skubal off your Christmas wish list if any Cubs fans had that on their list. Just kind of like you mentioned, similar line of thinking with Kyle Tucker. You're gonna have to give up a lot and then bank on him re-signing with you. He's a Scott Boras guy. He's gonna go for a ton of money, lockout or not. He's gonna find a way to get his money. I would look more toward, I think, Edward Cabrera. If I think the Cubs are gonna trade for anyone, I think it'd be him. Young, cost controlled, throws a little bit harder than your average Cub starter. I think he tops out at around like 98, 99, but sits around 96. The young, controllable starting pitching is right now the currency of Major League Baseball. If you don't have it, you're in bad shape. And if you do, you're sitting on a wealth of riches. Because if you're a rebuilding team, you can trade that for a lot of assets. At the deadline, a lot of people wanted the Cubs to make that big move, me included. Joe Ryan, Mackenzie Gore, those were the 2 big names. Until you start hearing what that's going to cost to get, the names that kept popping up, well, the Nationals want Matt Shaw, Cade Horton, and more. And you sit back and go, well, wait a second. We can't give that up. Like, who do you trade that for? Tarek Skubal for sure, but not for 1 year. So that price would have to come down, and that's just me saying that for the Nationals. I don't know where the Marlins' heads are at with their starting pitching. But one thing we do know is the Cubs and the Marlins front offices are very familiar with themselves, because last year it was Jesus Luzardo in the Cubs. And the thing that kept popping up was, all right, Jesus Luzardo, there's some medical concerns there, and that's where Jed kind of, I don't want to say hoarded his pieces, but got a little scared, didn't put his pedal to the metal. And, I will never shame Jed for trying to improve the roster. There's a lot of moves he's make where he gets a little too conservative, and there's other moves like Kyle Tucker where you could be like, oh, that feels kind of reckless. So there's a balance with Jed Hoyer, because he was concerned with the medicals of Luzardo, and Luzardo pitched really good last year. So he could be sitting there this offseason going, at some point you got to risk it for the biscuit, kind of like he did with Michael Soroka. That did burn him in the end, but I can't fault him for at least trying. And I think that's something that he might consider again this offseason.
Yeah. So one of the things that you just mentioned too is, whether or not there is a season in 2027, right? Because there is going to be a lockout. Like, I don't think there's any way around it. Like, I know that the owners are going to want a salary cap. I think the players are going to counter if they're going to give up a salary cap, you're going to have to get a salary floor. I think there's going to be a long lockout. I think we might lose an entire season, which would really hurt the sport.
I agree.
But you've also got, the Cubs have, you're watching really good organizations, the Cubs, the Cardinals are doing it too, where they have nothing on the books past this year. It's going to be a fresh reset, other than the Dodgers, who have like a $10 billion payroll at this point. Like, a lot of these teams are doing this. Is this just going to be an offseason where there's going to be a lot of teams that are fan bases that are disappointed in what goes on because front offices just aren't willing to put that money back on the books?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Another thing at the winter meetings too that was very evident, the big markets, I don't want to say dominate the winter meetings, but if you go down Radio Row, the 2 biggest sets is the Yes Network and SY or SNY, the Mets network, and talking with a lot of those Mets and Yankees fans, I go, why is George Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman doing interviews saying that we have to like cut payroll? Like that's not a Yankee thing. Like, going back to early 2000s, even before I started watching and really following and covering baseball, it was, yeah, you're the Yankees, like act like it. And now this new age of baseball is, all right, Steve Cohen and the Mets, they go out and sign Scherzer and Verlander, and they're throwing big contracts at Lindor and Soto. They just lost 2 faces of their franchise in the matter of a week. Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz are out the door, and it's like, wait a second. That's not the Steve Cohen Mets. This isn't the New York Mets. And I think there's a reason for that. You see Mets fans even speculating, well, what if we traded Lindor? What if we clean house? And it's like, why are the Mets doing it? So if you're the Mets and you're doing it, then I think that's kind of the writing on the wall right now, is a lot of owners are a little bit concerned that their business is going to be shut down for an entire year. And as well as anybody, and me included, is when your business is shut down, you're not making money. So I think they're kind of prepping for that, getting set up for that. You look at the San Diego Padres too, big cash flow issues. 2 of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball right now, Xander Bogaerts and Machado. They're owed, I want to say $30+ million for 8 more seasons. And now they're in the trade market saying, well, we might try and trade Mason Miller now. Like we might try and move some pieces around. That's a really scary thing to look at from a baseball fan perspective, because, you and me both, I want to see baseball in 2027, but I think these owners are pretty aware of the writing on the wall right now.
Yeah, just get really good at MLB The Show, because that's the only way you're going to be able to see baseball in 2027.
And especially
is to play it.
what's happening with regional sports networks now. That could be even worse for baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked a lot about on the show how regional sports networks off baseball are making less and less money. I mean, just right here in Chicago, the White Sox had to turn really quickly. I mean, a lot of people blame the White Sox. It wasn't the White Sox fault. It was really Comcast that just came to them and said, no, we're not carrying you next year. So they had to build something with the Bulls and the Hawks to cover that up. And that's happening in a lot of towns, a lot of smaller towns too, where their regional sports networks are getting hit. Is that why you think the Cubs are kind of keeping their powder dry now? And almost same question. Do you think the Cubs are overestimating their outfield prospects, or do you think some of those guys are the real deal? I mean, I know that's a hard question to answer.
I lay somewhere in the middle, because I think it's unfair to just say
political
yes.
answer.
Yeah.
You could be a great politician, Blake. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I say that because I think it's unfair as a baseball fan for me to sit here and go, Owen Casey's the next Kyle Tucker, and he's going to be the next Bryce Harper, but better. And Ballesteros, he's going to be Vlad Guerrero Jr. Like, come on. Like, am I a homer? Absolutely. But no one believes that. I mean, it'd be awesome if it happened. I think they are overestimating their value just a little bit, but I also think it's part of like Jed Hoyer's philosophy. Owen Casey's a guy he traded for, dumped the Yu Darvish salary, and Owen Casey was in that deal. Ballesteros signed from Venezuela. That's a guy he scouted. It's a guy he signed. Matt Shaw, guy he drafted. PCA, guy he traded for. So I think it's a little bit of Jed Hoyer's ego, for better or for worse, because he got Theo Epstein said, hey, here's this aging Cubs team with some bad contracts that all need extensions. You decide what to do with it. I'm going to let you decide. And Jed Hoyer comes in and it's kind of the bad guy and says, I'm going to trade away the franchise fan favorites. And now we're kind of still in that rebuilding phase of when the next great Cubs team is going to come about. I think the organization's in a healthier spot than 2018, just from prospect depth, flexible contracts. I think they're in a very healthier spot than that time frame. But I think they're going to roll with these guys for that specific reason as well. As Jed Hoyer said, hey, I got dealt these cards. Now I'm going to play them. I'm going to play Owen Casey. I'm going to play Ballesteros. And whether that fit makes sense or not, we're going to find out if he's going to cash in on that bet or not. I think this season, specifically because Kyle Tucker's not coming back, specifically because I don't think they're going to sign a guy like Alex Bregman. I think they're going to roll out these young guys and say, this is your new Cubs core. If it works, awesome, I was right. And if it doesn't, then that's baseball.
We're going to be talking again in August.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Murray says the KBO is back, baby.
Yeah.
2027. He also said, I would understand holding on to Owen Casey, even though he spelled the name wrong. had they actually played him, that was one of the things that I had too, was like all of these prospects that you held on to at the trade deadline that you wouldn't trade for pitching. You called them up and then didn't utilize them. I know, and he'll never admit this, but I know that we've got a manager who hates rookies.
Hates them.
And he just absolutely hates rookies, and he won't play them. How do you replace internally the production of Kyle Tucker without playing? Because that's just not what Craig Counsell likes to do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I definitely think the Cubs offense is going to take a hit this season. For as much as Kyle Tucker did struggle in the back half of the year, he still walked. Like, he was still getting on base at a decent clip, not good enough to justify, I think, a $400 million extension or a $400 million contract. But he still affected the game in a lot of ways. Even just him being at the plate protects the guys ahead and behind him. And I think, where does that production come from? At least my prediction, I think Moises Ballesteros, if you want me to be a little bit of a homer here, I think he's one of the best Cubs bats we're going to see in a long time. He's got power to all fields, makes great contact, maybe hits a few more ground balls than I particularly like, needs to learn how to elevate the ball just a tad more, but great hands, great vision. I mean, even watching him hit a little bit this season got me excited enough to kind of start making that claim. His problem is, where is he going to play? Craig Counsell said in his presser over the winter meetings was, no, he's going to catch some. I hope it's only some, because I think, because kind of like what you mentioned, Craig Counsell doesn't like rookies. And, we lost Miguel Amaya, and we're really relying on Carson Kelly to catch a lot of these games before they brought in Reese McGuire. And, I was even talking to my friends in the industry of, like, if they believed in Moises Ballesteros as a catcher, this would have been his time to shine. This would have been his time to be catching a lot of these innings. Not Reese McGuire, who's not even on the team anymore. Not Carson Kelly, who it did phenomenal for the Cubs. Let's call it how it is. Aging veteran, 2-year deal. Not the future catcher of the franchise. So I don't have a ton of faith in him as a catcher, but the bat I am crazy excited about.
He's more like Kyle Schwarber, right? Who came up as a catcher, but they're going to find another way to just have his bat in the lineup. I definitely agree with you there. Blake, before we get you out of here, man, I know we talked a lot of Cubs. I could talk Cubs. We could talk baseball for hours. We could have a 4-hour show right now and just talk baseball and be absolutely fine with it. But it is football season, man. And the Bears are good, and the Bears are fun to watch. And it's been incredible.
We're as shocked as you are, Blake.
What's your take on this season? Do you see them? I hear a lot of people talking about it, and we're going to talk about this here a little bit more in a few minutes. But do you believe they missed the playoffs? A lot of people think this team's going to miss the playoffs, thinks they're going to lose 3 of the last 4 and miss the playoffs. Do you see that happening? What do you think of this team? What do you think of Ben Johnson? What are your feelings on the Bears?
I mean, I have Ben Johnson saved the city of Chicago. He's literally feeding the city of Chicago just by taking his shirt off. So I think they'll make the playoffs still. They're a 9-win team. If they don't make the playoffs and win 11 games, that would be an absolute heartbreaker, but not to the discredit of their season. Like, it's tough to look at an 11-win season in year 1 of Ben and Caleb and feel, too bad about it. I think they win today. I think they win 1 of their last 3. The thing about the Bears, too, is they've won a lot of close games against bad teams, but they also beat the Eagles, who are now struggling. I get it. But going into Lambeau Field last week and playing the way they did in the second half, like, that kind of just is a testament to Ben Johnson being just steady Eddie. Like, you're never too high, you're never too low. You're going to come at him again and again. And I think you're going to see that today, too. Like, coming off a loss, their first loss in a month, like, you mentioned it in your intro. People are jumping off the Bear ship. I'm almost like buying more stock of, like, last week's done. Whether Caleb Williams throws that touchdown, they win the game. He's still coming into this week saying last week doesn't matter. It's this week now. Let's play some ball. I have a ton of faith. Whether I think they're going to win a playoff game yet, I don't know. But year 1 of Caleb and Ben is I'm fully bought in. Caleb looks better too. He still has his struggles, but I love what I see like on the processing side. That footwork's just got to get cleaned up, and I think he's in a good spot.
Yeah, I think they win 3 of their last 4, Blake. I think that and the reason why they lose the last 1 lines is because it doesn't matter and they sit their starters. That's what I think. That's what I'm going with. That's where I'm headed with this team. I love this team. I love Ben Johnson. I love everything about him. But Blake, man, thank you for joining us today, man. We appreciate you so much, guys. Check him out. Blake, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, Blake Cowell X on every platform. That's a good start. And then from there, you'll find my link tree. Co-host Wrigleyville Forever. We stream that about 3 times a week. Guest Fridays on Friday. And then during the season, we do some live streams here and there. And the well as Cubs Insider, mostly on Facebook, but other places there. We do some video work and a lot of good articles to read. So that's a good starting point where you can find most of my stuff.
All right, Blake, you're the man. I appreciate it. We'll be talking soon.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it,
Blake.
guys. Take it easy. Thanks a lot.
Mhm.
All right, that was Blake Cowell of Cubs Insider Forever. Dude's phenomenal, man. I work with
Good
RMN. He's really locked in on the Cubs.
Hell yeah.
He's
Sheesh.
very
Woo.
much locked in on baseball. He's good stuff, man. So if you guys get a chance, check him out at Blake Cowell X. That's COWELL X on Twitter. He posts a lot of stuff on there. He's a good follow. But yeah, man, let's get into the Bears talk. The Bears are 9-4, coming off of a loss against Green Bay, and I just mentioned where I think that they're going to win 3 of their next 4. I really think that this team knows how to win, and I think that loss against Green Bay, I think is kind of a wake-up call for them. I think that they don't tend to make the same mistakes twice on this team. That's one thing that I've mentioned throughout this entire season, is that I think that this team finds ways to win. I don't think they make same mistakes twice. I think Ben Johnson does a hell of a job coaching this football team. I think they win today. I think it's going to be a ground game today with how cold it's going to be. But I still think you're going to get some moments from Caleb Williams today. I think you're going to see a hell of a lot different team playing against the Browns than you saw against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. Jeremiah says this team has earned the right not to count them out. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I just don't want them to a rookie batter to mix sports that gets into a lot of 0-2 counts and gives away a lot of pitches. John can't see one of our faces. Is he that drunk already?
Are you watching it vertically? Maybe turn your phone around and get the horizontal photo.
Yeah.
Your brother showed up to my house unannounced today. I was still in my underwear
and clown makeup. And no, I mean, maybe I'll finish my point. But anyway, not to play like a young team, even though they are a young team, would be nice today. Every possession is golden, and to have the coach be that way too. I really think now we could talk about the last play. Yeah, somebody was open. Probably not a play call I would have picked. I would have gone a little safer there and run the ball. But really, I think where they started to lose the game, or you started to get that crazy sucking feeling you get as a Bears fan, was when off the turnover, they run the ball 3 times. Caleb is 0 for 5 on his first, or they throw the ball 3 times. Caleb is 0 for 5 on his first 5 throws. He's not throwing well in that first possession, right?
Yeah.
And then you throw it 3 times again off that turnover when you had the ball back, you're away, it's cold. They're both having problems throwing the ball, it looks like, in that early part. I think they both got it together, but both quarterbacks are having problems throwing the ball. You want to have the ball for a little while too? I run it there 3 times and maybe even go for it on 4th, because you're probably going to get 10 yards with this run game. I just don't see. I think right there, that's why they're playing with the deficit they are in the second half. You have to be perfect in the second half, and they weren't perfect in the second half. They just weren't. I think really playing like a team that's not young would be nice.
Jeremiah says the loss to the Packers was an announcement that we're not the same old Bears. It's at best going to be a dogfight in every game.
Yep.
It's funny because I think that they lost that game by being the same old Bears. Just because the play calling in the first half, it seemed like they were like, I don't know, almost getting out of their element. We know we can run the ball. We know we can do this, but so do the Packers. So let's try to pass it. Let's try to catch them off guard and do things that they're not expecting us to do.
Too cute.
But
I agree with that. They got too cute.
It almost feels like that. But I agree, though. Like it wasn't the same old because they didn't get blown out. Like the same old Bears would have gotten blown out in that game. The same old Bears would have just, they would have come out in the second half, probably give up a couple of touchdowns, and before you know it, down 21. but instead it was a dogfight. I liked it.
I think it's so serendipitous that the Buffalo Bills played the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm not even going to start because I don't think anybody's in his atmosphere saying that Caleb Williams is like Joe Burrow. But if you watch Josh Allen in that game, and then right afterwards you watch the Bears game, I'm sorry, you have to see parallels between Josh Allen and Caleb Williams. The way that at the end of the second half, the throw, I forgot who he threw it to, but Josh Allen had a great throw in the back of the end zone. Very similar, going through a couple defenders, then that Zacchaeus pass late in the third quarter in the Packers game. There was a lot of parallels between that game. If you are not excited, I'm sorry, if I had to pick between Jordan Love, who needs to have everything, and I'll say it again, it seems like he needs to have everything perfect to play well. At least in what I think, he needs to have everything perfect. That's why his stats are great in December, because teams are ready to play and everything's clicking for teams if you stay healthy in December. If things aren't all clicking, if things are a little off like they are in the first 4, 5, 6, 7 games of the season, then he's not as good. Everything has to be perfect. He's not going to make those exciting plays. I want to see something different. I want to see something innovative. If a Packers fan is being honest and think that they have the best quarterback moving forward, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. And yes, Caleb has to get more accurate. Yes, all those things have to happen. He also throws the ball away a lot, which is good. I just think you have something to be really excited about. That's why I was so happy after the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was happy, but Komet was
for
open,
where the Bears
the
are.
play call was fine. Has to make the throw quicker, and we'll get there. I agree that the play call, the design was good. I agree he has to make that read quicker and throw the ball quicker. I disagree that the play call was fine because you got the ball all the way down there, running the ball down their throat. You run that ball up the middle. With 2 timeouts in your pocket, you run that ball up the middle. You get the first down with Kyle Monungai, and you go for it. And if you get stopped there, I'm fine with getting stopped with what got you down there. And just like I would have been fine if they would have went for 2 and still ended up losing that game. I'm not fine with rolling the ball out of the pocket with Caleb, who he was just inaccurate on last Sunday. He wasn't very good last Sunday. Now, that being said, I mean, I understand putting the ball in your playmaker's hands like Caleb Williams, but there's just sometimes you have to just go with what's working. And what was working was the run game. You're running it down their throat. That's how you drove the ball down there in the first place. That's what you have to run with. So
it's definitely a safer play. And I don't always want my coach to be safe, but throwing the ball again when it's 10 degrees, having him roll out, giving him less options, it just didn't seem like the best play call. Now it worked. You got to make that throw. I think Caleb will even say that. I think he overthought it a little too much. I think you got to make that throw, but I think it's a safer play. A lot of things can go wrong in the back of an end zone. He could get one toe out of bounds. A million things could go wrong between Caleb and Komet on that play. A handoff to your bowling ball,
and you're rolling it the wrong way.
Monungai.
That was the other problem I had. You're rolling it to the left, where when Caleb's rolling out that way, his throwing arm is forward as opposed to behind him, which is where you want to. So if you're rolling that play, why aren't you rolling it out to the right? Why aren't you, not only that, but at that point you're rolling it away from their best pass rusher. You're rolling it away from the guy who's been terrorizing you all day. Instead, you rolled into it, and he just has no time to plant and throw, because if he plants and throw on that play, he's getting hit by 2 Packers. I disagree with people who say he can get the first down running the ball. I don't think there's a path for him to get the first down running the ball. There's too many Packers that are sitting right there.
Yeah.
They're going to converge. They're going to crash on him, and he's not going to get that first down. And even if he does,
it's going to be tough.
I don't want my quarterback in that position where he has to take somebody on shoulder to shoulder, a linebacker shoulder
especially
to shoulder.
A linebacker.
Yeah.
If there's a cornerback out there, maybe. But like, he does have a lot more to think about in that play. How about just letting him hand it off? You take another timeout. Now you got at least 2 or 3 plays to get in the end zone, maybe 4. to get in the end zone. There's just more. It just puts the probability up that you're going to score a touchdown in my mind. Now, you're thinking a lot of things. The guy's open. I don't think it's an egregious error. I think the error in the first half off the turnover, not running the ball there, is the big egregious error. I think that ends up losing them the game.
Yeah. And I mean, there were a lot of things there that cost them that game, but now we're on to the Browns. The Bears are home today against Cleveland. They have a huge need to win this game, right? Because while I think that they're going to win 3 of the next 4, it's not a given, right? Because you got the 49ers or the Packers next week, then the 49ers, then the Lions.
Yeah.
And you're at San Francisco. So it's not a given that you're going to win 3 out of the next 4 games. You have to beat a team like this, favored by 7.5 at home in negative 20-degree weather. You have to be able to go out there and win this football game. I don't know, what you're looking at here today. I think you're going to get a lot of the run game. I think you're going to get a lot from Swift. I think you're going to get a lot from Anungai. I think you're going to get a lot from Quinshon Juk today. You're going to see a lot of running the football this afternoon. At least I think, right? Because that's what I thought last week, and we didn't get a whole lot of. I think the Bears win this game. I think that they win this game pretty handily and they better, because not only should you run the ball, but you got to keep Caleb away from Myles Garrett. Sacking everybody.
And you got to get Sanders. I can't be beat by Sanders today.
No.
Sanders today. I just can't be beat by him today. I need to take one little extra step forward. They're not going to rush the quarterback. If they don't get a sack today, it'll be 5 games, I think, they've gone this season without a sack, which would be the first time they did it. I just saw the stat since 2000. I think you saw it too, since 2008. If they're not going to get to the back that much. You got to get home, though, when you blitz.
That's the mistake.
And I can't they've had way too many breakdowns in the secondary for what is mostly a veteran secondary. And some of it has been play calls, like the CJ Gardner-Johnson being on Christian Jones on one of those plays. Yeah, let me tell you something. If Kyler Gordon's on him, that's a touchdown too. Probably. Maybe he gets to him and he doesn't get a touchdown, but it's a big play. Like there's not a lot of nickel corners that's going to guard that guy all alone by himself without any safety help. It's just not going to happen.
They did a good job minimizing the impact of Parsons last week. I disagree. Caleb did a good job of minimizing the impact
10
of
pressures
Parsons last week. Yeah. And I think they had 17 pressures in total on 34 dropbacks. That's half of your dropbacks you're being pressured on. Like that can't happen.
No.
Like that's bad. It's just Caleb being able to. That's what I'm saying. When people talk about this offensive line and how the offensive line's been better and all this stuff, I disagree. I just think we've got a quarterback that can escape the pressure better. I think it was the same thing that we saw with Justin Fields, because that was one of the things that he did well, was escape pressure. And you're seeing it now with Caleb, because it's one of the things that he does well. He escapes pressure really, really well. I need to see more accuracy from Caleb, and I think that you will get that over time. I'm not so sure you're going to see that this season, but this season's about experience, man, and getting that experience and being 9-4 and maybe even getting a playoff game and getting a playoff game under your belt. That experience is invaluable for a young quarterback, and I think they work all off season on his reads and on his his progressions and how quickly he gets rid of the ball. I think that they work on a lot of that. And I think they shore up the offensive line, whether it's through the draft or through the through free agency. I think they do find a guy who can just plug up that left side, and you might finally be happy with a left tackle.
Possibly. Possibly. I mean, Ozzie looked good. Trapillo. Got his name right, I think. He looked good. He looks like maybe he's the new guy. I don't think they liked how Theo Benedict was doing against the pass. Yeah. And I think they got a guy in Ozzie. I think they're getting more confident every week with him. So I think we might have a guy there, and if not, you still have a backup at left tackle.
Can we hit a wide receiver at the line of scrimmage, please? Kyler Gordon would have caught him in his wheelchair. It's true. Kyler Gordon is probably going to be in a wheelchair soon. The guy cannot stay healthy.
What's wrong with
On
the groins on this team?
On IR again.
What is wrong with the groins on this team?
I don't know, but maybe you should go down to Hallis Hall and start a massage plan.
I'd rather not.
I mean,
did not go well for a lot of football players.
I don't know, man. I don't
Some
know what's
got
going
caught
on.
with the massaging.
The training staff should probably be fired from this football team with all of the groin injuries that they've suffered, all the soft tissue injuries that they've suffered.
A lot.
It's not been fun. But Kyler Gordon, look, man, he's starting to become. It might be time. I love Kyler Gordon. I think he's a difference maker on this football team, on this defense. I mean,
didn't he just get a contract?
They are first in. Well, yeah, but it's the NFL. They are first in defense efficiency when Kyler Gordon plays. They are 28th when he doesn't play. I mean, that's a big difference, and it just shows how talented he is, how good he is on the field. But you've got to stay healthy, my guy. I mean, you just do. And yeah, they did just sign him, did just extend him. But I mean, in the NFL, you just cut him. It don't matter.
Yeah. Can I do my thingy now?
Oh, you want to do your little thing?
Yeah.
All right.
Can I do my little thing? Get ready for the show today. My little thing. We call it Fitzgibberish here. It's a diatribe, it's conspiracy theory, and it's an island in the middle of unapologetic and, yes, sometimes inaccurate sports talk. I think we did good today. What did we get wrong, Jeremiah? I don't think we got any wrong. Anyway, it's the dream of every flat-ass bastard American lying on his beef-stained couch to be called back once more to football. I think it's one of Combsy's dreams. Michael Chiklis, a.k.a. Vic Mackey, and his bulbous bald head recently starred in The Senior. A 59-year-old man plays one more season of college. Watch now. To stoke the fires of Bacon Top Donut Nation and confirming my suspicions that the NFL is turning into the WWE, Philip Rivers announced his possible return to the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, that Philip Rivers. And podcast people, Philip Rivers has become a man of the people. He has embraced retirement, possibly a little bit too much. Philip Rivers before, Philip Rivers after, Philip Rivers before, Philip Rivers after. Philip Rivers now looks like one of those rubber masks you get at Party City that was left out in the sun too long. Philip Rivers' face looks like it's pregnant with another one of his kids. Anyway. Of course, in a regular country, there might be some people worried about his health and an entire knee replacement wing of a hospital on standby. But in this country, Rivers has already achieved cult hero status for almost coming back. If you squint, you could almost envision an NFL owned by Vince McMahon where Michael Chiklis breaks into Rivers' dressing room and shaves his head. Stop reading ahead on the Fitzgibberish. And that's my problem.
I'm just trying to see where the end is.
My little thingy is little this time. And we're talking about the Fitzgibberish, obviously. Listen!
Are we?
Listen to Mr. Fitzgibberish! America, we need to talk. Look, you're fun. There's no denying that. We have a lot of the same interest, a deep history, and in the right light, you still get me steamy like a manhole cover on a cold day.
Are you breaking up with America?
But you've let yourself go, America. That's what I'm looking at you while I'm saying that. The deep dish pizza in the fridge with the cheese-topped apple pie kicker did not eat itself. I get it. Back when I was practicing drugs and alcohol, I got fat all the time. But this is not working out for me anymore. I never won. I never got on the field. I was practicing the whole time. And we're going to have to move on. I give it a 10-1 chance this Rivers thing is anything resembling a success. The thrill is gone. And we're breaking up, Erica. Although, knowing me, it's only a matter of time before I come crawling back with flowers in one hand and a bear claw under the other. Because I may have lost weight and work out almost every day, but the only one who wants to have sex with me is me. And that's Fitz gibberish. Follow that.
He said practicing drugs.
The practice, I never got on the field. I never got into the big game. The practice didn't go so well.
Yeah, it's not usually something you want to practice. Stay sober, kids.
Yes.
So, look, Phillip Rivers, I'm not going to badmouth the man. As he put on a few pounds short, but
a few pounds?
Him and I.
Do you want to edit that?
Him and I are the same damn age.
We are.
He's going to play an NFL game today and get hit by men that are
Is
massive.
he playing today?
He's starting. And I rolled out of bed and I hurt my back. So I'm not going to degrade this man for being 44 and starting in an NFL game. It's going to be brutal. They're going up against one of the best defenses and one of the toughest places to play. You practiced so much you overslept for the game.
Or didn't make the game at all. Yes, the commish, Michael Chiklis.
So yeah, no, I get it, but I mean he's 44. He's been retired for 5 years. He's probably not working out a ton. He's coaching high school football. So I know how frustrating that can be.
Yeah, he's so frustrated to get out of that.
Yeah,
well,
so,
the high school football season's over.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of what he can do today. I don't think it's going to be. I don't expect a ton out of him. Although I did bet his over half a yard rushing is his over.
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna move around back there. What's gonna happen? I mean,
and if you bet over a half yard rushing and a touchdown from Phillip Rivers, it's 28-1.
Oh.
All you need is a quarterback sneak, and you hit it from the one. I mean, just a tush push, and look how big Phillip Rivers is. He can run over some people.
Yeah. I mean, or just lay on them.
It's not
and
a terrible
wait for them
bet.
to pass out.
Yeah, it's not a terrible bet. 28-1.
I just don't. I mean, what is the for him like falling down and dropping dead of a heart attack? What's the bet on that? Because I would think the heart attack before the half yard rushing.
It's even money for him to throw one touchdown pass. Even money, which is typically like to put that in perspective for Jordan Love to pass today is minus 450.
So it's basically it's kind of like 5-1.
It's 6-1 for him to throw 2 touchdown passes.
Oh my!
Which is insane because the vast majority of over unders for a quarterback to throw a touchdown pass is 1.5.
I think it helps that they have one of the best running backs in the league, so everybody knows they're going to run.
You're going to put him in short yardage situation, which could benefit, right? Because if Taylor's running the ball down to the 5-yard line and you've just got to throw a 5-yard out to one of the better tight ends in football, and Tyler Warren, which I need for my fantasy league here, by the way, today, then you could get a couple of touchdown passes from him. And I mean, want to start throwing in a bunch of Phillip Rivers props, man. You could make some really good money if he turns back the hands of time and has a halfway decent game.
He can fall down and give you one of those bets. Like he can fall down into 3 yards. He is a big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that going for him. He's growing the wrong way at this point.
They think Jonathan Taylor gets in, but his knee hit and they're down at the half mark and they just run a quarterback sneak. I mean, that's a huge.
Do it. He's like
I'm just telling you,
porcelain doll out there.
Here's why
he's gonna break.
I think they're going to.
How
get
bad
killed.
is Riley Leonard?
I think they're going to get killed in this football game.
That's my question.
they get killed in this football game, but why wouldn't you go for the nostalgia? If you're yard line, why wouldn't you want Phillip Rivers to be the guy that puts it in? Just because of how great of a story it would be. I mean, it would be fun, and I'm rooting for it, and I'm rooting for it because I bet it.
Wow. Here we go. I'll be rooting for you as usual. Talking about betting, Doubting Thomas, Bears 26-12. Sorry, I'm late. What did you two have a sleepover last night?
We did.
Kind of.
It hasn't ended yet. He brought a toothbrush this time.
I did.
It was weird.
And condoms.
Yeah. No lube though.
The Durex condoms.
Jeremiah Murray.
Same bowl game the Notre Dame will be in.
The no lube bowl.
Yeah.
They're going to put a tray of cupcakes and Viagra in the end zone and tell him.
Yes. You'll win that bet going away.
Tell him that if he gets a touchdown, he gets to have another kid.
Yeah.
Megan TV, Rye, you don't even have gray hair, so count your blessings.
I mean, it's coming.
My whole beard is. I think that's a shot at me. Anyway, you want to get into our picks?
Let's do it. Rapid fire.
Let's do.
We got game time coming up.
Rapid fire, he says. You rushing me
go,
now?
Combsy. Let's go, Combsy.
Is this what we're doing?
Let's go, Combsy. We did a Fitz gibberish. We had somebody on to talk about the Cubs news.
All right.
We're.
Let's start right where we were at. Colts, Seahawks. Seahawks are minus 14 in Seattle. Phillip Rivers starting the football game for the Colts. First of all, does he make it through the whole game? Second of all, is there any way the Colts can cover minus 14?
Why isn't Krispy Kreme's on this? I mean, or Dunkin' Donuts or something.
I mean,
but I'm just gonna for fun take the Colts, just for funsies. And we should be rooting for Seahawks to lose.
I don't know how they cover this. I mean, look, maybe Phillip Rivers has that day, but I mean, I can't. Screw it. Colts plus 14.
Ah!
All right. Bills at Patriots. Big game at noon. We got the Bills are a 1-point favorite at New England. This over-under is 49.5, which I think is a little low because I think there's going to be points scored. But Bills -1 at Patriots. I'll go first. I'm going to take the Patriots. I think they win this game. I think they seal up the division. The Patriots do win the division with a win against the Bills today. At home in Foxborough in the snow. Not that the Bills are,
played in the snow last week.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. There's just something
Snow's
about
coming down now.
And even though I will say this, since 2020, Josh Allen has owned Foxborough, but this is a different Patriots team, man. I think they win the game today.
I'm not to be a contrarian. I'm taking the Bills.
Okay.
Very, very quickly.
Okay.
Josh Allen showed me a lot last week.
Yeah. Raiders, Eagles in Philadelphia. I don't think we need to spend much time on this game. I'm on Eagles -12. Where are you at?
I'm on Eagles -12.
Yeah, same here. OG Breezy will be happy.
Yes.
Lions
finally.
At Rams. Huge game. I think this one goes over 70. Rams -6 against the Lions. I think the Lions cover. I'm taking the Lions +6 because I think this is a shootout, and I always take the points when there's a shootout.
Yeah, I do agree with you there, but I think the Rams are a much better team when they show up. They've had some clunkers this year, but I'm going to take the Rams even with the -6.
And so far, Rex Ryan is the only one that agrees with you on ESPN, by the way. He's all greeny, too, so you're screwed. The Patriots are winning. Chargers at Chiefs. Chiefs are a 5.5-point favorite in Kansas City. Look, I know it's cold. I know it's Kansas City, but 5.5 against the Chargers. I think the Chargers win this outright, so I'm going to take the Chargers +5.5. I think the Chiefs get eliminated from the playoffs today.
Yeah, so do I. I think that, go Chargers, Jim Harbaugh.
All right, Commanders and Giants in the Meadowlands. Giants -2.5. I will take the Giants just because Jackson Dart, man, and this Washington defense can't stop anybody. I think Jackson Dart has a big day today.
Good. I think I have Slayton in my fantasy league, so I'm gonna stick with the Giants too.
Okay. Browns Bears. Bears 7.5-point favorite here in Chicago. I think we're both on the Bears.
Yeah, even though it's cold and all that, I think the Bears. It is hard to run on this defense, but I think the Bears can do it as the best running team in the league.
Normally we do that game last, but I there was no reason to. We've talked about it so much
Yeah.
today. Packers -2.5 at Denver. Packers are the road favorite at 11-2 Denver. I mean, nobody believes in the Denver Broncos. I believe in the Denver Broncos. I think this defense gets it done. I don't believe in the Packers. I think it's an overreaction to what the Packers did last week. I'm taking the Broncos. I'll take the points at home.
I think people overestimate the Packers. I really do. They need to have everything perfect. I don't think they're going to have it today. They're going against a much better defense than the Bears. Not much better, but better.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Broncos.
All right. The Panthers, 2.5-point favorite at the Saints. They can take sole possession of the NFC South after Tampa Bay's debacle on Thursday night.
How did that?
Where are you at with this?
My poor Bucks.
My
Poor Bucks. I'm going to take the Panthers. I'm starting to be a believer. I think if I didn't hate you so much, I would have been a believer a while ago, but I think the Panthers are starting to get more consistent. I think they win this game.
All right. And then we got Vikings Cowboys. This is the Sunday night football game. Vikings Cowboys. Cowboys in Dallas are a 5.5-point favorite. Where are you at with this one?
Cowboys in another game. God, I would have never thought they'd win this many games, but I got to take the Cowboys. I have zero trust in the Vikings at this point.
I think they win, but I think the Vikings cover. They played well last week. They can run the ball. This Cowboys defense can give up a ton of points and a ton of yards. I think the Cowboys win, but I think it's by a field goal. Let's go Titans, Niners. Niners are 12.5-point favorite against the Tennessee Titans.
I'm still taking the Niners here. I don't care how high it is.
Yeah.
I don't like the Titans.
Yeah, I think the Niners win this one too. I think even though Christian McCaffrey showed up on the injury report yesterday, I still think he plays well today. I still think that the Niners win. They probably don't even need him in the second half. Jets at Jaguars. Jaguars, 13.5-point favorites. Are you willing to give up 13.5 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, even if it is the Jets?
No, I'm taking the Jets here. I can't believe in the Jaguars. I'm going to have to see a lot more out of Trevor Lawrence.
I'm taking the Jaguars because they are going with I don't even know his last name. Brady something is their starting quarterback today from Mizzou. There's no way. All right, last one, Monday Night Football, Dolphins, Steelers. The Steelers dropped this week, which was crazy. I don't know if you saw that, but he had a collapse. Yeah. He was getting dry needling done in the locker room. Stop doing medical procedures inside the locker. Punctured the guy's lung.
Insane, man.
Give me the Dolphins to win this one outright. I think the Steelers collapse, and I think that the Ravens take over the division.
This just in: Roma Dunze aggravated foot injury during pregame. What are the Bears doing?
I told everybody.
Pregame. What are the Bears? I'll take the. What are the Bears doing in the pregame?
Roma Dunze was not going to play. The cold weather and a stress fracture in your foot are not going to mix.
You don't have to be a doctor. You do not have to be a doctor.
As soon as you start running on a frozen, terrible field like Soldier Field always has, that stress fracture, it's going to hurt. So there's no reason. I never thought if you thought that Roma Dunze was playing today, you were kidding.
If he strained his groin, I swear to God.
He didn't. It's just the foot injury. Bears are receiving the ball first. You ready to get the hell out of here?
Yep.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. You've got some things to do. You're not going to be around for a post game. I will be around for a post game. We will talk to you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. He'll talk to you guys next week. Till then, same.